Once upon a time in the world of Rust, this used to be one of the greatest boat-based designs in the world. Two regular old double doors, a literal hex without much else in the way of trickery. TC, now garage door was optional, single door, double door, whatever. TC in here, storage up here, and a boat right here, and it worked fantastic. This was the first ever boat-based design I came across. I wish I could tell you who I found it from, but it was a long time ago. And it is exactly what it says it is. You store a boat in here, nothing else. Well, as Rust has advanced over the years, boat bases have become increasingly impossible to build. For starters, if you put a boat in here, you're never getting the doors closed. If you do get the doors closed, for some reason, boats being anywhere near double doors seem to cause them to open sometimes. I don't know if that bug has been fixed recently or not, because I haven't put a single door anywhere near a boat in ages now. You also typically can't build down like this, like you used to be able to. You'd be up here, you'd build these high ones, you'd build the low ones. Now it'll give you a line of sight block, so you like come up here, then you're finally in the water building. They've really messed it up, especially the way boats interact with doors and gates. It is a radical change from how it used to be. So boat bases, we've had to evolve our designs a lot. Because for those of you who don't spend a lot of time in boats or with boats, they're handy. Get you around the map a lot. Now, step one, you're going to have to imagine for a moment that this sand is the water. Because the way you build a boat base to get the height correct is you see these angled bits coming down from the top part of the twig to the posts of the twig. You want to build something about like that. Wait a minute. Where the twig is... Those angled bits are basically at the surface of the water. Now, there's some flexibility here. It doesn't need to be flawless, but that is going to give you... This part will be out of the water, and then the next part you build, which we can't build here because of the terrain, is going to be... So if this was placed as I just showed you, where these are right at the surface of the water, this bit is going to be just low enough, and a little bit extra maybe, for you to drive a boat over. Now, you may run into some problems with this. If you build this a tiny bit high and you come in when the wave is low, you're probably going to bump. Who cares? It'll be fine. In other words, more boat problems. So this video, I'm here to just show you a couple of our boat-based designs that have kept evolving, like I said. And the first one I'll show you is, shocker, one boat micro, no storage. You want an ultra minimalist boat base. Now, even this is optional. You could just leave these stone, but then, you know, grubs show up and they pick out your stone foundations because the top of a foundation is soft side. But you may notice there's really not much going on here, and that's because this is another ultra minimal design. How do we build the world's smallest boat base that's at least a little bit hard to raid, has a tiny bit of storage, holds probably a boat or two? Honestly, you could probably shove two boats in there. All for 130 or 113 frags and 389 stone. Well, this is it. And there really isn't much to it, as I pointed out. It's a 1x2 with no airlock, because the airlock is the boat bay. This foundation's low so that we can save resources, because this costs more to adjust this. Keeping this garage door here, and then you come in and hop up to your TC compartment is a lot cheaper than any other way we've come across. Trust me, I've played with these a lot. So this is about the cheapest boat base you can build, where you have a reasonably secure TC, again, a tiny bit of storage, and you've got, yeah, you could store probably two, or even you might even shove three boats in here if you were really desperate. Trust me, one of my buddies once shoved about 7 boats into a bay that was only designed to hold 2 or 3. But the point is, that's your basic option right there. The next step up from this is the same base, but with storage, and it's a little bit more expensive, especially on the build cost. As a matter of fact, I can cost this one for you. So this one, 4,200 stones. The other one, if I remember right, it's like 3,500. So otherwise, they're basically the same base. Notice we have adjusted our garage door. So this is handy though. You can store a couple drop boxes in the foundation. Now you've got a little bit more room, and you've got a half a storage room, or half a loot room. So what's the cost on this one? 115 metal frags, 480 stone. So aside from the fact that the build cost is another 1,000 stone or so, it's basically the same base. It is a bit more of a tempting raid target if people are aware that you've obviously got the ability to store some stuff in here. But honestly, if you have a boat base, what you really need is a place for a couple bags, and they can even be on the roof. A place to store some fuel, some metal frags, and some wood so you can repair the boats, and not much else. Moving up to 3 boats. No, not 3 boats, 4. Where's 3 boats? Oh, here it is. Once again, we are showing off some of my favorites. Concrete barricades, help keep people off the roof. You can put bags up on top of this thing. I've actually had wipes where I had a small box or 2 and 5 or 6 bags on top of something like this and never had them get taken out. And the small box typically just had some food and maybe a bow or something like that. Once again, we have drop box storage in the water, because they will typically do that fairly well. Depends on the water a little bit. Now, this looks a lot like the last base. Until we get to here, where it is a lot like the last base. Basically the last base, except it's a bit bigger. Now, you can easily store 3 boats in here. But another deep water deployable is skull spikes. So if you really wanted, and we've done this with some of our builds, to keep your boats drifting, you can do something like this. Yeah, that's a lot of murder, and you don't actually have to go this thick. That's ridiculous. I'm silly. But it would keep your boats apart. Now, one design feature that you may wonder about, why don't I have a drive-through? It's because of the way boats currently work in submarines. If I pull a boat through, and let's say this is an exit out the other side, which is actually my preferred design. If I pull the boat in and it bumps up against this, now you can't open this door from inside or outside. So if you're inside and you need to get out, you can't open this door because it'll start to open, it'll close, right? So you come in here and you come in through this door or this door, and you grab this boat and you back it up, and now you can get in and out the door. So as I was saying, you move this boat off the door so you can open it. Well, now the boat drifted back to this door. Now you can't open this door. And no, I'm not joking. My boat-based designs used to have double entrances all the time, but now with the boat's ability to prevent you from opening a door, especially with submarines. If you have a base with submarines in it, they drift so far, they're always crashing into one door or the other. It gets infuriating really fast. It's like, one of the things I found with base building is I've got a few rules I try to follow, and one of those is you should be able to move around the base easily. If you have a bunch of features in your base that make it impossible to do jumps without this pixel perfect lag free moment in the game, you're gonna hate living in the base. And basically, because of the way they've messed up boats interacting with doors, they've ruined that feature as an option. As it is, this base here, I would probably do something like this just to keep the boat away from the door. The back doors don't quite matter as much unless they both get jammed up. That would suck. But we have some bags in this one anyway. So moving on to the most ridiculous version of this that we currently have. I'm actually lying. Second most ridiculous version of this we have. Something else you probably didn't know you could do. The world's most ghetto wall. Same base, same base, same base. Wait, what? What is this? Yeah, a lot more room, casual, plenty of storage, and 515 metal frags, 444 stone. Now, the metal frags are largely just to preserve the raid cost of the TC. That's basically it. You got to make the TC reasonably expensive compared to the base. So if they take the door path, it is 9-ish rockets to TC, and if they take the wall path, it's 8. So whatever. Good enough for a boat base. Not particularly hard to build, except for these bits, which also aren't very hard to build if you know how. And the base looks like this. Now on to the most ridiculous boat base you've ever seen. I present you with a base design we call Jebe, the Arrow. So this isn't even complete, by the way, but what you've got is a longhouse mixed core 16 rocket bunker with a detachable, reattachable 8 rocket furnace base with a 16 rocket TC. Well, it's like 14 or 9, I don't know. TC compartment's also really tough on this one. And the reason for the hard TC target is this isn't just a furnace base. This is an anti-grief Satori disconnectable to protect your main base. These two gatehouses are also built to be Satori disconnectables off of these points here. These were originally built out off of this. Then you come back and it lets you build this janky mess, which is your boat bay. This would be underwater. A little bit of storage right here if you want. A ridiculous boat bay. Tons of boats could be stored in here, including submarines, but you can get them over the wall, over the little riser here. Now, depending on how deep this is, you're going to want another foundation here to keep people from swimming in, but that's a little bit rare. Plenty of room out here for storing bags, beds. You can put some of these back in to create a little more space. Now we're into the main base, and we notice we don't even have another way up. I do it. Must be not done yet. And we've got this problem with the boat bases, where if you build in the water, you often have these deep holes. That, honestly, you probably couldn't put furnaces there. You'd end up using skull spikes or drop boxes to create a walking path through the water. And I'm guessing, no. There should be a way up, but we'll pretend that there is. In any case, once you get upstairs, this would be either your access or a potential heli bay. Now I'm going to tell you something here. This is a terrible heli bay, because these bumps, as you come in and try and drive over them, they will cause the vehicle to lift off sometime. So what I typically do is actually build my heli bays over on the sides of this, and then you can store multiple helis easily. You got luxurious room up here. You have 2 14 rocket, plenty of storage, external TC with no TC in them. Gatehouses. And once again, held up for as little cost as possible. The gatehouse is nothing you haven't seen before. It's pretty simple. But also very, very cheap. And you've got some madness you can do with these. But yeah, this is absolutely the most out of control boat base ever. because it'll probably hold literally 10 boats if you really want to get them in there. If the water is deep enough, you can get subs in here as well. It is made to be big and luxurious, partly on purpose, partly because when you attach a boat bay to the longhouse with external disconnectables, you sort of inherently get a larger base. Basically, these TCs are about the right distance to be a disconnectable. They're very close, but they're outside of TC range of the base. So you kind of end up with this bigger option. You don't have to go this big, but if you're going to do it this method, then you're going to end up with a fairly chunky boat base. And at the end of the day, still not the most expensive thing in the world. Total cost on this is under 40k frags and 22k stone. Costs almost 20k wood to build it. And then the upkeep is 5k frags, 12 high qual, and 2300 stone. There's a lot of base here for that price, and 8 rockets plus 8 rockets plus 16 rockets plus 14 plus 14 plus 8 plus 8 more for the TC is a bucket load of rockets to raid this compound. And you can, add some, auto turrets out here. These make great windmill towers because you just build straight up, build a windmill. These can be used for windmill towers. The longhouse portion kind of sucks for a windmill tower, but you could attach one, somewhere in here. You can get power here. You can get plenty of auto turrets. You got plenty of places to store batteries. It's pretty great. So I think that's the end of the boat base tutorial for now.